Hi, Grace. Nope, I was just waiting on the machine to open up. Everybody's pouring in. Okay. Bye.
Recording in progress.
Melissa.
I don't think anyone had decided to
Thank you.
I know what it is. I'm sorry.
All right. Let me just make sure we're on it. Owl. Assign the host. Okay, I'm gonna, if I can find. All right, can someone let us know they can hear us? Grace, can you hear us?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Helps to have confirmation. All right, welcome to the select board meeting for November 21st. And shall we call ourselves to order? Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What I don't see on the agenda that I'm going to pop in is the review of the agenda is not listed here at 5:30. So to review the agenda, we have at 5:45 review job descriptions that the personnel board recommended to the select board with changes for the highway super and the recycling coordinator. 6 p.m. trash bag policy conversation. 6:05 Concom bylaw legal review. 6:10 Shutesbury Athletic Club permitting. 6:25 Shutesbury Town Administrator updates. And 6:30, we're going to review the Attorney General's response to the Planning Board solar amendment from January. And then at 6:40, we're going to go into an executive session for reason 3. So if anyone is here that's not part of that conversation, we do ask you to leave our meeting at that point, just as a reminder. Okay, the public comment isn't on our agenda here, but I'm going to ask the other 2 select board members if they'd like to do public comment.
Yes, please.
All right. Does anyone have a public comment they'd like to share? And I would just ask that you keep it to something that's not one of the agenda items later on. You can do so by raising your hand feature. No public comment? Okay. Give me one moment. I want to give Rita one thing. So give me 2 seconds. Let's see how fast I can do some technology. In the meantime, Becky, do you have an update real quick you can give us on culvert?
The culvert update is we are going to continue down the path for Friday. Today it was a bit concerning, but we've worked through the problem. Originally, the paving contractor was not going to pave unless I signed a waiver about the temperature, because the temperature has dropped to 39 degrees. I was not inclined to sign any waiver, and then I was so I reached out to the highway superintendent, to the retired highway superintendent, and to my engineer, and all 3 decided that signing the waiver was not a good idea. In between, I had spoken to the contractor. I was very clear that I was in a pickle, that he had presented me with 2 options that were not good, and I needed a 3rd option. And so after back and forth, and today Scott came back with a 3rd option, which is that the highway department is now either doing or have accomplished. We have used calcium chloride to spread on the top of what will be paved. It's a 24 by 100-foot section of road that needs to be paved. And then tarps have been applied on top of the calcium chloride to keep the surface snug through Friday morning when they arrive. This will help prevent there being any moisture having collected on the surface, any frost. Frost is what we're trying to avoid. They don't, that's where problems can arise. So between that and the heaters they're bringing, we think we have a plan that will be successful. The alternative there, any other alternatives, it's at this point in time, with the next 10 days being 30 degrees and in the teens at night, it's, hard to imagine we're gonna have anything better than we're gonna have on Friday, any better weather. Before all the paving companies close.
Right.
So we are still on for Friday.
What was the three options we gave you?
Well, no,
Maybe.
that was the third option. The second option was to wait until spring and pay twice as much, because they'd have to pave to close it, to do more to it, close it and be able to drive on it. There's also concern by spring, what is there would not be in very good condition without, with all the plowing and no blacktop on top. So that was a poor option. That's why I told them, I can't live with either of the two options. I need a third option.
Yeah.
But luckily we have one, and we're hopeful that it all comes together.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, let's go to the review of job descriptions. Do you want to look at the highway first or the recycling first? I don't, either one is fine.
Doesn't matter to me.
Okay, I'll bring up the highway. Becky, am I co-host?
Yeah.
I gotta find it.
I think actually, yeah, you're cool.
There it is. Share screen. So here is the highway. There. All right, so everyone can see that except
Yes.
for us.
Yeah.
So hold on one moment. Nope, give me 1 second. It just left your screen, right, Becky?
No, it's still there.
There it is.
Okay, it's on our screen. Can everybody see that or no on the screen? No, okay, hold on 1 second. Let me just share, go back to share screen. Because I just moved it. Oops.
Right, it's off my screen now.
Yeah, that's what Tom just shook his head.
We do have a lot of fun.
We do. All right, I'm gonna just, for a second. Share, stop share. Okay, I'm gonna reshare number 2. Reshare 2. Yeah, it should be back up there. Yes? Okay, perfect. All right. All right, so this is the personnel board went through this on Thursday night and made some adjustments, not significant, more rearranging of the duties. So one of the things that we did do is down below here, we added the tree warden and tightened up the verbiage a little bit on that. So that was here, and bringing it out as a task in and of itself, because that is a new task for them. We added a minimum of OSHA 10 certification to the education, experience, and license requirements. We changed, give me 1 second. We talked about this particular line that coordinates all of these, and there's a significant discussion about how many people are coming to this position. And we ended up not changing it because they're open to, all the requests from everybody, usually through the administrator, but sometimes people come to them individually. So.
Can you go back to
Yes,
that
and- yep.
section where it says dams? Now, what are dams really under the they coordinate maintenance? Okay,
Yeah, they really do. I mean,
Okay.
that's, there's the dam down Fish Brook
Yeah.
that goes into the lake. There's it's a culvert, so culvert dams, I mean, they're mostly culverts, not dams, but
Well, there's something in front of them.
But dam maintenance is, we call upon them to do the maintenance of the main dam.
And
and
they
then
mow
we
that
have-
area too, right? They mow
Yeah,
the,
they
they
mow the area around the dam.
okay,
And where's the other dams? The other dam is private, but they maintain the culvert
okay.
across
The
from it. So
Browns
there's,
Pond one?
yeah,
Yeah.
Browns Pond. So
Okay.
there's probably, have to ask Tim if there's other dams. I don't think, I think there is one, there's a couple dams, or at least one over on the other side of town near January Hills.
Okay. There was one just that stood out
Yeah,
for me, just
mhm.
because we've had so much discussion about dams.
Yeah.
So those are pretty much the only changes on this particular.
And did the highway superintendent go through it too?
That I
Did
don't know,
Steve-
Becky. did
See, that's
Steve
what I
go
was
through it?
realizing that it was reviewed, he didn't. So we
Okay.
need to pass this on to him. He read through it before, but Meryl had some changes.
Okay,
And she initiated most of the changes that April put in.
okay. So what's the process for us then? Do we have to approve this, and should we approve it before Steve sees it, or?
We could ask for Steve to give us input before we do it and then do it at the next one.
Okay.
I did just see an incomplete sentence. If you, could
Oh,
you
go
raise it
ahead.
up again? There's,
Which one?
up to the next page. It ended RE on the, maybe if you go down more. This contract, see, responsible for RE
4B.
on, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that actually I think was supposed to be taken out. I don't know. I don't know what that edit was. That must have been.
Okay, so we should just highlight that and
Yeah,
go
I'll
back.
highlight it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll highlight it and I'll send it to you, Becky.
Great. Mystery.
It is mystery.
Maybe it's supposed to be part of C, responsible for recruiting, because it's RE. Training,
Yeah,
evaluating
yeah.
employees within.
There was a
the
couple of
department.
things in
Yes.
here that were so
Yeah,
much the same that we honed in, so
Right.
that may have been one we were deleting
Yeah.
and bringing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will hang on to this one and punt it to the next one. Becky, I'll send it to you before we're
Okay.
done. I see Meryl's hand here. I'm gonna bring everybody. Meryl, did you have a question on this particular one?
Yes, just a minor correction. You have Massachusetts Highway Department of Transportation. It's the Massachusetts Department of Transportation. There's no highway in their name. There is a highway division, but it's not what the name is. It's Mass Department of Transportation.
Okay, thank you.
Just a
Good.
minor.
That one. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I know where that one is, so I'll.
Okay,
I'll do
I was
that.
gonna say, I can't find it.
Yeah. Okay, let me do this next one.
Tom had a question too.
Oh, Tom, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Thanks. There's a small typo at the end of the position summary on page 1 that spell check won't catch. The word much is supposed to be the word must be available on a 24-hour basis.
oh, yeah, the last sentence.
Thank you.
Sure.
You're right, that won't catch it. Great. So let me share this other one. Recycling coordinator. Everyone can still see that, right? I tried not to change the screen. Okay, So here's this one. Meryl had done most of the edits. There was not much we did here, except for talk about the actual hours it takes to in the position. A couple of us wanted it to maybe do 3 to 8. But in the end, Gary was there and he said it really does average out to be 2 to 6 weeks, even though some weeks are busier than others. Yeah. But most of everything that Meryl had sent with us, thank you, Meryl, for going through this so nicely. We accepted. So
You're welcome.
go ahead.
But she said you're welcome.
Oh, so there was nothing here really that we changed. So we took all the ones that Meryl had said. And we voted this one through. Gary had looked at it and Meryl had looked at it.
Okay. So are you looking for a vote?
This one, yeah, we can vote on it if
Confirmation?
you guys feel comfortable voting on this one as the personnel board had recommended. Or voted to, the personnel board voted to accept.
Right, okay. All right, I make a motion that we approve the recycling coordinator job description as presented this evening.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Carol, I.
Tucker,
Makepeace O'Neill, aye. Okay, let me stop sharing. Everybody back up on the screen, give me 1 second. There we go. Okay, we're back to this. All right. So the next item on our agenda is the I closed my agenda. It's a plastic bag, or paper, the bag policy.
Trash
Thank
bag.
you.
Trash bag.
Trash bag. Okay, so the trash bag policy. Meryl, did you want to give us a rundown on bringing this to us, or? There you
Sure, I
go.
can, but I wanted to just go back to the recycling coordinator position for 1 second, and that was to just ask you to ask the town administrator to advertise this position as soon as possible, because Gary will be leaving fairly soon, and it's important we get someone who can work with him while he's still here to learn about the position. So I'd appreciate it if you could do that. Regarding the
Yeah.
trash bag policy, that's not a new policy at all. Policy that's been in place for many years. All we're doing is formalizing it, and the recycling committee many years ago voted and approved the policy, which just means after the end of the trash bag distribution out of the recycling shed, when that responsibility returns to town hall employees, we tried to put a disincentive in there for people to wait and not put an excess burden on town hall staff to have to implement giving out trash bags. So there's a series of dates when if a person waits, they get fewer trash bags as the year goes on. So it's just putting this policy in practice, in writing. We have had it in writing in our trash collection book, but it wasn't posted on our webpage. But it has been posted there, thanks to Gail Fleischicker, for quite a while now. And we just want to make sure the select board fully supports this and approves it. So if
Okay.
you have any questions, yeah.
Do you see Becky's and Gail's, and who is Shutesbury host? We need to have your name.
That's all of us. That's the owl.
Oh, you don't need to raise your hand on the screen, Becky. So let me call on Gail first and then Becky. Go ahead, Gail.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that this is the first chance we've had to make public the rationale behind the 50 bag each year. 52 weeks is basically 1 bag a week. And it makes sense in terms of the logic of if you'd come up to August, October, November, you're not going to need a full year's supply. So the allocation is reduced thereby to get you to the end of the year. That's all.
Okay.
I had that comment.
Okay, go ahead, Becky first.
Or you can go first if you want.
No. My only comment is, and I had checked with Meryl about this, I know we had one situation I think during this fiscal year.
It's been more.
It's been more, okay, with the policy
only
of
heard
not
about it,
getting like, okay, so people who are coming to town hall after that, after the last official distribution date are looking for 50 bags and they're not getting them.
Right.
But the one instance I recall, which actually came to us, I think, as an email, was a person who needed some accommodation. And I was wondering whether or not it made any sense to put that in here. What Meryl said is that, if there's an instance where, let's say we have somebody who's homebound during the distribution time or is in a facility, but, could still use the bags, that can we make, or should we state in the policy that accommodations could be made so that somebody could deliver them, or, I'm just thinking about, situations where it really gets tough for somebody to get.
Yeah.
Is it okay
Go
to
ahead,
speak?
Meryl.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's fine. Reasonable accommodations, I think. It should use the word reasonable and give the Recycling and Solid Waste Committee some discretion on whether it's reasonable. But I will say, as a practice in the past, there have been a number of occasions where Gary or myself have just dropped off bags to someone who couldn't get there or just help people out. And we have no problem with doing that.
Yeah. So should that statement be in the policy, or yes? So
If you support it, if they
Yeah.
support it.
Yeah,
you think the committee will support it?
I mean, we do that anyway. So if it's more comfortable to let people see that there's a chance to do that, that's fine.
Yeah,
I would just make sure you say reasonable accommodations, though, not just accommodations, because
Say they will be
right.
reasonable.
Reasonable accommodations may be made in the instance where a
resident cannot get to the recycling.
unable to.
hours.
Where are you putting this? Can you put it up on the screen? Do you want the Word doc? Or if you,
I have
I've got the Word doc up. If you want to tell me where this wording goes, I can put it in.
Maybe with that sentence that says, maybe its own statement, after February 10th, 10 bags, where it says one pack underneath it, maybe a star that says reasonable accommodations.
Before landlords and tenants section?
Yes.
Okay, so
Can I just clarify, though? Are we saying that this would happen all year long, or is this only during the trash bag distribution period? Because that's when I would want to do the reasonable accommodations, was during that period. I don't think anyone all year long can ask for
right,
assistance.
agreed. I
mean, we have this set period of when we distribute trash bags that we've had for years now. And
Right.
there are new people in town, and they learn quickly that that's when they need to get their bags.
Some do, some don't.
Yeah, we could hear from somebody who's at the
But that's
town
why
hall.
we want this policy, so it's
No, I
probably
know.
understand it.
Yeah, and people
This is
aren't,
a volunteer committee that does this.
right,
Yeah, people
Okay.
are coming.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that, we had a few, well, this year we probably had, closer to 10 situations where people were unaware that they get fewer if they show up later.
Mhm.
And then it became very clear that it had, the policy, we'd instituted it, but it wasn't printed on the website
Mhm.
or in any materials going to the public.
Right.
So I
And
think
that's what prompted this policy being put together now,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Yeah, so it's critical that that information is, because I think it's one thing to show up expecting to get fewer bags, but if you finally get there and I hand you 2 bags, you're not gonna be real happy.
Mhm.
So
Granted.
I appreciate that this is now publicly stated, and it'll make it easier for people to make decisions whether to show up sooner or not.
Yeah.
And that's critical.
And we
So maybe
also
that,
advertised numerous times in numerous locales that this is the period when people are supposed to come get their bags, and that there is a penalty if they go past that date. So we have always done that. It's just, people don't pay attention.
It's not
We
really a
have a
penalty.
lot of, we have a lot of new people
Yeah.
in the last couple of years. We went a number of years where only, less than 5 houses sold in town. And during COVID,
They all do. Almost all.
Yeah.
all the houses possible sold in town, so. We
yeah, but
have to
like
be more
Gail said-
actively
Yeah.
educating.
Yeah, but like Gail said too, that as you get further into the year, there are further weeks, so reducing the number of bags they get, if they're truly committed to recycling, shouldn't be a major hardship. They just need to recycle more and cut back on trash. So it's the whole reason for pay as you throw is to encourage people to recycle. So we don't like to make it too easy for people to not try to meet that goal. We want people to work on recycling more and generating less trash. So this all works together in the policy.
so maybe if we're gonna make the reasonable accommodation statement, it goes
Okay,
after the
yeah.
first
Yeah.
paragraph.
Yeah.
And it could even be its own, like,
Little statement.
standalone statement. Right. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it does.
But what is the statement, please?
The statement is reasonable accommodation may be made for residents who are unable to pick up their trash bags during the scheduled distribution period.
Pick up their trash bags during the,
During the scheduled distribution period.
That way it hones it into that.
during the posted distribution schedule.
Yeah,
That's so broad, though. It makes me nervous. It makes me think that anyone could say, well, I'm so busy, I can't get there.
Yeah.
And it's not that we have so
it
many
may
days.
be, you have to have a good reason. We're saying it may be
May,
made.
because that gives
I-
you the option, Meryl, to say, no,
No,
sorry, that's
sorry.
not reasonable.
Yeah, and for example, I had a person that had been in the hospital and rehab for 5 months.
Right,
I mean, they
That's
needed,
reasonable.
Right,
right,
that's a good excuse.
right. That's sort of what I'm talking
Reason-
about, right?
Then how about contact the recycling coordinator for your particular case, or there's something be made on a case by case?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's better.
Case by case. Yep,
Do you want to dictate that, please?
You can just send it to Shutesbury. So if this applies to you, send an email to Shutesbury, the recycling coordinator, or whatever the email is for the recycling coordinator.
If you need this accommodation.
Yeah, and a response will be made on a case-by-case basis.
Um,
do you want to read it back, Gail? what you
Long it
have?
evolves, but
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Can you read us what you have so that we
Oh,
can?
okay. So this goes after the last sentence of the first paragraph, after residents are encouraged to pick up. Is that correct? Yes?
Yes.
Reasonable accommodations may be made for residents who are unable to pick up their trash bags during the posted distribution schedule. The committee's response will be made on a case-by-case basis.
It should be the coordinator who's making the decision, because we can't wait for a meeting.
Yeah.
Right.
Sitting in town hall, waiting for their bags.
Contact the recycling coordinator for a response to be made on a case-by-case basis.
Which will be made.
Yeah, which will be, yeah.
What?
Which will be made on a case-by-case basis.
That will be made. Okay, and with the email in there. Contact the recycling committee app blah, 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 for a response. That will be made on a case-by-case basis.
That's good.
Meryl?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. And then paragraph break, given that the number of bags and the explanation of the reduced for the rest.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Do I hear a motion to vote for the Shutesbury trash bag policy as amended?
So moved.
Second,
As amended.
All those in favor?
Carol, I.
Stalker, aye.
Make O'Neill, aye. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
All right, so we are now on to the Concom bylaw legal review. So we have a request from the Concom for to be able to have the bylaw, wetlands bylaw review, legal review, and asking for funds and permission to do so. And I don't see.
I'm not sure that we need an explanation.
Okay,
I mean,
no,
we sort of know.
Yeah.
So we always, when adopting a bylaw, have, well, we typically have town council review the bylaw, and then when passed by town meeting, those bylaws go to the Attorney General's office for review. So I say this is a reasonable request. I mean, it makes sense for us to do it. I would, it sounds like the bylaw is not going to be ready. I think the last email that I received that it was going to be towards the end of this week.
The 27th,
27th.
yeah, which I think is Monday.
Oh, it's Monday, okay. And I would propose that we, since Donna McNichol, our town council, has recused herself. She didn't do the regulations, and I think she thinks it just makes sense to not do the bylaw. But I would propose that we use McGregor to review the bylaw, given his familiarity. He did a comprehensive review of the regulations, is again, you know, the firm that's written many of the wetlands bylaws, works with this all the time. This is their forte. So that would be my recommendation, is that we get a quote from him as to how much time and what the cost would be. I know in terms of the billing with McGregor that he bills at a different rate than Nathaniel Stevens, who works in his office. And I know Nathaniel has done a lot of the work on
Regulations.
yeah, on the regulations and on bylaws.
Yeah, no,
And- And he's chair of the Arlington, I think the town of Arlington Conservation Commission, if I'm not mistaken. So that would seem to me to make the most sense, but that's me.
No, I agree, because he did that wonderful presentation, and he understands this very deeply. And he's been at the forefront for doing these bylaws, so I do agree.
Yeah, I agree too. I mean, I think he served us well in the past and, you know, he's the expert. And you know, what's better than having the best lawyer in the state on the subject review them? I mean, it seems to me there's the most chance of it being a good outcome for us.
Yeah, I guess. I do see Mary David from the Concom. Are you guys okay to have comments from Mary?
Sure.
Mary, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, the only request is that, I don't know if we've actually scheduled a time for town meeting, but that we get the review done in a timely manner so we can have public meetings before whatever date you decided on for a town meeting.
Yes, we did decide on January 16th, Mary, so that's
Okay.
however many weeks away. And I believe that information was given to the chair of the council, to Miriam, correct?
I think she was at the meeting, wasn't she?
Yeah, and it was also in an email. You gave it to her in an email.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Michael has a question. Are you guys okay entertaining public questions? Okay, Michael.
Sure.
go ahead.
This is very quick. I just want to say thank you. I'm feeling hopeful that we actually will all get to yes and get over the hurdle and get a new bylaw that everyone feels good about. So I think this is the first step to getting there. So thank you all.
It's what we wanted.
You're right.
Where we started.
It is where we started, right?
Exactly. We're almost there.
I think 7, 8 months you've been
Yeah.
asking?
Yeah.
Right.
I do also, I don't know if you guys agree with this or not, and I'm willing to discussion, is that the communications for the bylaw and the legal review go through the Concom Shutesbury address, concom@shutesbury.org.
Well,
That's included. in
I
that.
would also like it to come to the select board
Yes,
too. I
the
mean,
select
we're the
board,
ones that have to put it on the town meeting warrant, so.
Yeah.
So the communications
yeah,
come to all of us.
Yeah, and we're the ones who engage. It's the
Okay.
select board that engages
Right.
McGregor.
Okay.
But if you're saying that when it goes to the Shutesbury Concom address, it doesn't automatically go to all the members of the.
No, it doesn't go, no, we go to all the members.
Right.
I just want to make sure that it goes into that, for if records are needed or something.
The town.
Yeah. For the town
Yeah.
public records, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, in case we need them for anything down the road,
Okay.
in a situation like the solar thing. All right,
okay.
so
So do we need
to
a vote on
Okay.
this? Yeah.
I would take one just because.
Okay. All right. I make a motion that we engage the firm of McGregor and McGregor to review the draft Shutesbury Wetlands bylaw.
Okay.
Second.
Second. Okay, any further discussion? No? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Farrell, aye.
Stalker,
Make use of Neil, aye. Okay. Thank you. So now we move on to the AC Club permitting. Geneva, I know you run us through these forms that you have given us. Where's Geneva? I see her.
Good.
I'm here.
Okay. Can you run us through?
So I have everything except for the fire safety certificate from the building inspector.
Okay,
Building inspector came over today and inspected.
oh, thank you, Mark. Okay,
Okay, so
And I have
this
that.
is-
I can give that, I can mail that to you or bring it by tomorrow if you want.
So Mark, did they give you the certificate?
I wasn't there when it happened. Jen Bryan was there. But I know that she said that he did approve it. I could reach out to Bill Hawkins tomorrow and see if he can email it over if he did not leave it.
So given this situation, I think at the end, when the select board votes, you want to just make the vote contingent upon receiving the approved inspection
Okay.
report from
Mhm.
Franklin County Inspection
Yeah.
Program. Before November 30th. Which from what Marcus just said should not be an issue, but
So this all has to be submitted to the ABCC
before
Before.
November 30th or by November.
by
30th.
November 30th. Okay.
I believe this is the last document Geneva was waiting for. Is that right, Geneva?
It is the last document. It doesn't need to be submitted to ABCC, but it all has to be in hand before the end of November.
Okay. So I went through, I did read through the application, and it's not dissimilar from what we've seen before. I think the one thing that was that I didn't realize, and it was included in Lenny's letter, was the whole issue around sprinklers.
Yes.
And it seemed to me, and it's just something I think, we have to be aware of, that there's a carve out here for the athletic club around the need to have sprinklers, because there's a bunch of, reasons why it doesn't meet that threshold, but it gets close to it. And so it seemed like he set forth conditions in there to make sure that the athletic club understands that they have to comply with those conditions. I don't remember what all of them
Yep,
were.
and I did have a meeting with Lenny on those conditions, and we have met them. And the only conditions he wanted us to put the building number outside on our sign, which we did. A duplicate sign on either side of the door that separates the bar area from the dining area, saying that the door has to be closed at all times if it's not being used. And the other one, I think actually that those are the only two conditions that he had, and we meet those. And he, talking to Lenny after that, he said those are the only conditions he has, and he's talked to other facilities. He's actually talked to I guess there is a Massachusetts Sprinkler Committee or Sprinkler Board, and he said that we don't fall within that category at this time. So as per Lenny, he said business as usual, as long as we meet those requirements, which we did.
I had one other question. Mark, I can't remember what the terminology was, but it sounded like there was the need to have a person who goes through kind of a checklist before events, like an on-site checklist to make sure everybody's.
Yeah, and we do that. That's actually it's the checklist that the bartender does every time they open the bar for business. They check
It's a
the smoke
bartender who
check.
could.
It does, and we fill out the log every day. When Lenny was there for inspection, he looks at the log, makes sure all of our bartenders have had the crowd manager certification, which they do. And so yeah, so he did look through all that stuff. We are compliant with all that.
Okay, great, thank you.
All right. Were there any other questions, or this has to be notarized, right, Geneva? We have to come in and our signatures notarized, or no? Not on this one? Okay.
No, just signed. You guys will have to sign the local licensing forms.
Yeah, they've moved it online, and I think you're remembering before they had it online, but during COVID, they tried to streamline it, so it's a bit different.
Yeah. All right. So do I hear a motion to approve the ABC liquor license application for the Shutesbury Selectboard?
So moved.
And I will second.
Okay.
that-
All right.
Giving him a
Okay,
chance to
don't
step up.
All right. Any other questions for discussion?
My only question is, when will that be ready to be signed? Because the 30th is coming right up.
Right, next week. Yeah.
We'll be ready tomorrow, Geneva?
I will be ready once I get that certificate from the building inspector.
Is
Certificate, right.
contingent on
So
the
just do.
fire Franklin County Inspection Program.
Yeah, so Monday was probably
Monday.
one, okay.
We can sign. it
I'll
on
send an
Monday.
email as soon as I have everything.
Oh, thank you.
That's
All right,
That's
good.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
So all in favor?
Farrell, I.
Stalker,
Makepeace O'Neill, aye. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks.
Thank
Mark.
you.
And moving on to town administrator updates.
You guys are very efficient today.
Yeah.
Go early.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure that everyone is aware about the town meeting on the 16th of December. And it appeared that was, I'm glad they went with that date because I think there were only 2 people in Shutesbury that could make the 9th. So that was a good thing.
Okay, can I just check
Sure.
in with you? I mean, typically with those meetings, we were talking primarily about the formula, or that's what took up the bulk of the time. So this is more just like a budget review for everybody, kind of, is that what they will be
Yeah,
doing?
originally
A
it's-
preview,
It started, I was just supposed to be a budget review and a debt review.
okay.
And then, of course, that led to all the, griping about the assessments.
Right.
And so I know the finance committee has been talking about the assessment formula. It's kind of a question mark of where the other towns are with now that Mike Morris is out of the picture. So we don't know how much of an issue it will be at this meeting. We
Okay.
haven't been able to figure that out. We don't have an agenda. Well, I think the agenda just came out.
Mhm.
So that's going to be the unknown factor. I know finance committee is prepared with comments and support for the statutory 5-year rolling average method, but we don't even know if it'll be in question. So
Okay.
just to be prepared for that.
Yeah, I just put on my calendar.
Great. Glad you, yeah, and you can all make it?
Yes.
Good. So the culvert was my big thing, but the highway department, as you know, is in search of a new equipment operator full-time. And the interviews are going pretty well. The candidate was short one, the CDL license, but will be getting its permit before the end of next week. So I think before the end of this week, I think he has an appointment for Friday. So that's a big critical piece. He already has the hoister's license. His work ethic, is very good. He worked here this summer as an intern. So he seems to be a very good fit and will grow in the job. So hopefully next week after he has started to work on next select board meeting, Steve will come forward with a request for appointment in that capacity. But today, what I'm asking for is if the select board could appoint him just as a temporary part-time plow driver. He has been on the payroll through the internship program, but Steve is hoping to get him to drive one of the smaller trucks. He has been plowing for a number of years. That's how he earns money, doing people's driveways and such. So Steve was hoping to use him tomorrow if the select board would consider appointing him.
And what's his name?
His name is Ben Field, Benjamin Field.
Okay.
He lives in Leverett. Yes.
Know your name?
Okay. Do I hear a motion to appoint Ben Field as temporary part-time plow driver?
So moved.
Assuming it's the driving record, so.
Kristen,
She checked. Okay, well,
Verified.
that's good. That's good. Second.
Okay. All those in favor? Farrell, aye.
Stalker,
Makepeace O'Neill, aye. Yeah, the driving record is a good idea.
yeah, it's kind of,
You know? All right, Any other updates, Becky?
Not at the moment.
Do we think we're gonna have powerful snow tomorrow? I
The
don't.
talk was potentially 5 inches.
And then it went back
turns
down to
rain.
1, yeah,
One to
but then it
two.
went down to 1, yeah, last I looked. Is there any PFAS updates?
I have spoken with Jeffrey Arp since, I spoke to him last week. There's testing is gonna happen on Monday. Monday is is that the 4th? Yeah, December 4th. Sam Evans, the technician from Ty and Bond, will be coming out to do some PFAS testing as well as testing 2 wells that are beyond the fire station, but they're part of the fire station project, but in the Valentine's property, 50 Leverett Road. So those will be getting tested on Monday,
So what's the,
along with some remainder PFAS testing we still need to do.
okay, so this is new testing, when you
Yes.
said PFAS testing, and when does the quarterly
We're gonna,
testing start?
that's what we're gonna initiate. So we're gonna
Okay.
be testing people that haven't been tested before. I'm sorry, people that do not have poets need to still get tested periodically. So
I
we
see.
will be basically testing almost everybody.
Everybody within a certain circumference of
Everyone
the-
that that's in that bubble.
Mhm.
I think it's around 62 people, 62 households.
Households.
Yeah, 62 or 70. There's one category that does not need testing at this time. So Jeff's been going back and forth whether they should be tested annually or again in February. So the numbers might change. On his
And
testing.
there's no additional funding that's needed for the PFAS, but for the special town meeting, are we anticipating looking for money for the fire station
Yes.
gas?
Yes.
Okay,
And I have the new proposal for PFAS, but I don't have, until they do the further testing, we won't have another proposal for gasoline. Because they need the testing information to make the proposal on how to move forward.
okay, so they didn't, who's responding to DEP? Because we had like
Jeffrey Arps.
a 90, I mean, they said it had to come from the town though, right? They said, we want to hear from the town, not from the LSP.
Right, the 120 day.
120
Yeah.
day, yes. So what is that what's that deadline?
I think it's January,
Okay,
but I want to get it done before
Yeah.
the holidays get,
okay.
so that leaves me tonight.
And will that will then outline the additional testing on the wells for the gasoline that we're gonna be doing?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, is there anything else we have to do with regard to the gasoline contamination?
I think the testing of the additional wells and the testing of the interior air quality.
Right,
So he will be doing that on Monday as well.
okay.
That's gonna be done now.
So could we have him come back? I just think it's useful periodically to have him come back, maybe, I don't know what our second meeting is in December.
The 21st. I think.
Was it?
Yeah, the 5th to the 21st.
19th?
19th.
19th,
19.
19th. Yeah, can you see if he's available then? And maybe he could give us an update on both the PFAS and the gasoline.
Okay,
That's a good idea.
Very good. Okay, any more updates, Becky?
the building committee is continuing to go through town hall. I think they're almost finished with town hall, but they're doing very in-depth. They're going through the refrigerator and the stove and testing the oven, and turns out our dishwasher is still working. Nobody had the courage to test it recently because it hadn't been used in about 8 years. But it's still, the gaskets are still okay. So the building committee is, you know, they are focusing in for this year on to bring to capital planning and annual town meeting, a project to complete the school. That will entail all the siding and trim work. A lot of it, not as much as feared, but a significant portion of it did rot during the years where it was unpainted. You know, we didn't paint for 15 years. Well, it's not true. It's only 13 years. But it desperately needs, the trim work needs to get replaced and then painting
Did
of the
they,
entire building.
did they say if they were going to use a composite material that won't rot?
They have been, they included some composite material. You'll see on completing the re-roofing, and they'll continue to use that type of material so that decay won't be an issue moving forward. Yeah. The Finance Committee held their first meetings with departments last week. They met, the police department is rescheduled for December, but they met with the highway department, and that went pretty well. Steve's on top of his new budget, and Lenny has turned in his budget, so our main budgets are all complete at this point.
Can I pause for a second? Can the person that came in as 47WM1Q please identify themselves?
Donna, right? It wouldn't be her, would it?
No, she comes in as Donna.
I can't. Did they not?
It might be
It
Deacon.
might be Deacon.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right, it's whoever has identified themselves. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. There's also someone Zoom user. That's not you, Becky. Can the person that says Zoom user on the screen please identify themselves?
Yeah, it's me. It's Paula Moore. I don't know why it says that. It no longer identifies me, but yeah.
Sorry, I can change it. Thank you.
I'm sorry, what?
I can change it.
You can? Oh, that'd be great.
MOORE.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving.
It's for Grace in our minutes and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
All
Thank
right. Anybody else have anything, Becky? Any more updates? I think that was usually usual ones we go through. Is town hall open on Friday?
Town hall.
It's not open on
it's
Thursday.
closed. Yeah.
It's
I
closed on Friday.
I believe there won't be anyone in here, so. Except Grace. Grace, are you gonna be here? No, we're closing.
Okay.
All right. Just want to make sure
Yeah.
that signs
Should
on
we
the
do
door.
a town announce with that, or
If you
we just
want,
put a note on the door?
usually a note on the door. On that day,
It's pretty quiet.
It's
Yeah,
usually
yeah, it's pretty
quiet.
standard, yeah.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure we asked about it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's move on to,
Donna's here.
okay, let's move on to the Attorney General's response to our planning board solar amendment, January 2023. As many of you know, the Attorney General, as Rita said earlier, when we do a bylaw, it goes to the Attorney General to review and make comment, or in this case, reject it. So where would we like to go with this particular place? We are going into executive session for something else related, but does someone want to give us a run through of
Donna did read the document yesterday.
Hi, Donna.
Hey,
And
before you guys start, can we call the planning board to order?
Yeah, sorry. Yes, you
That's
may.
all right. I just want to make sure I got a quorum here. So I saw Jeff Weston. And
Yep.
just cruising through.
Look for
Nathan.
Hey, Michael, I'm here, but I'm not staying on. I just was kind of making sure
Well,
everything went, got called to order or whatever, but
so we shouldn't count you as a quorum.
no.
Okay, Deacon's here. That's-
Ashley's there.
Cool. Okay, we got a quorum. So I'll call us to order at 7:32. I mean 6:32. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay.
Okay.
Thank
so
you. I'm gonna sign off.
Oh,
Okay, thank you, Nathan.
So I think it's most appropriate to turn it over to Donna. She has had an opportunity to read through the AG's response, the 11-page response, and has a comprehensive review ready for us.
Okay, Donna, go for it. It's all yours.
Good evening. So yeah, as everybody by now knows that the town attempted to amend the solar bylaw with several provisions. Michael and Jeff are probably much more versed in what the amendments were, but essentially the amendments were a very well-written purpose section by Michael that explained why the solar array bylaw was important to the public health, safety, and welfare of the town of Shutesbury, which is a standard under Tracer Lane. Excuse me, it added an independent energy storage provision in the use table that didn't allow them, and made several other minor tweaks to our solar bylaw. The Attorney General's, basically after you pass an amendment to a zoning bylaw, it goes to the Attorney General. The Attorney General reviews it and determines whether they're going to approve it or disapprove it. The Attorney General in this case disapproved it. They disapproved it basically because the zoning map that was embedded in section 810, which is our small and large scale solar installation section of our zoning bylaw, did not follow the process as it's required to. And the Attorney General made the determination that because of that mistake, they would disapprove the entire bylaw. The other thing that they specifically commented on in the letter was that the independent energy storage provision violated state law because the Attorney General's office has determined that independent battery storage is part of solar. And therefore, because we prohibited it unless it was an accessory to a solar installation, that was unacceptable. So those are really the two reasons it was disapproved. So disapproving that new solar bylaw now puts us back to the bylaw that existed in 2022. That includes the 2021 small and large scale solar installation bylaw that was very, very similar to this one. And it also includes the 22 amendment, which allowed for accessory uses through other parcels. Wow. So that's really where we are. We have a small and large scale solar installation bylaw. We have the amendment that allows you to get through accessory uses. We don't have the wonderful purpose clause that Michael DiChiara drafted. And there's several other minor tweaks. I really like the change to the unpaved roads provision that I thought was better in the new version. But for all intents and purposes, that's where we are with the solar bylaw in the town of Shutesbury.
Donna, can I add two other things and just get your comment on it from my read? So they also objected to the creation of the zones because of this uniformity concept, which I sort of understand, but it's a little confusing. And they basically disregarded our whole rationale section by saying that we didn't show evidence of public health, welfare, and safety. So that's like, that was that whole big thing that you just referenced that I wrote. They basically disqualified that as not having standing. It sounds
Well,
like.
I mean, they did and they didn't, Michael. I still think that it was a really important provision.
Oh, I'm glad I did it.
bylaw.
They just didn't buy it, it sounds like.
And I'm not convinced that in and of itself they would have disapproved it under that. In fact, I'm fairly confident they wouldn't have.
Okay.
You know, when they comment on things like that, that really wasn't a disapproval. You know, I think that reading between those lines, I think that they didn't have a good enough understanding of the size of forest conservation. I think they didn't have a good enough understanding of how many acres there were available for solar development. And they clearly were not impressed with the solar districts, which was the zoning map issue, and limiting one solar project per district. So in part, I think they at least bought in part the arguments that the solar district really limited the number of solar installations. But I think that they really spent the most time, and I really think the downfall was how we didn't get the zoning map into the amendment process.
Okay.
Yeah, Donna, when I read that, and granted, I am not an attorney, I had to like look this over a few times, but I thought that they cited case law around not having a zoning district, or, you know, we had these solar districts and said, we have a solar district, but you can only put one, you know, there can only be one installation there. And it would be, I was trying to think, you know, what's comparable in zoning if you have an area of your community that's zoned solely for single family houses. You can't say, well, it's zoned for single family houses, but you can only put one single family house in this entire zone. So, you know, my reading was more that they didn't really like that either.
No, they didn't like that provision at all. I think, you know, I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Yeah, and so the remedy for that, I assume, and I think Michael's already been thinking, and maybe other planning board members already thinking about, how would you remedy that, you know, perhaps through, I don't know if it's through a zoning change or kind of what, you know, how we would address that.
Yeah, no, I think that I certainly have been thinking about going forward with an amendment to the current large scale and small scale solar installation section of our zoning bylaw, what we would want to pull out of the 2023 bylaw and put it in, revisit it. I'm not sure I would try for the districts again, to be perfectly honest. I think that they clearly didn't like it. They didn't like the idea of a zoning map that made districts like that and then limited one of the allowable use per district. And I don't disagree with you, Rita. And I think that that was clearly the provision of the zoning bylaw, the amended zoning bylaw, the map and the district concept that they really didn't like and really rejected.
They don't like overlay districts either, though, correct? A solar overlay district?
Yeah, no, I don't think, because I mean, an overlay district, it's really not for uses as much as it is for protection. If you think of overlay districts, they're usually architectural design districts, they're usually water protection districts. So the overlay district concept is basically you have regular zoning intact, and then you overlay with additional protections or standards for uses within that district for a good reason, like its water supply or its entries into town that you want a certain architectural flavor for, something of that nature.
Okay. So I get, who's chairing, Rita or Melissa?
Me.
Okay, Melissa, you mind if I ask a next steps question?
Yeah, let me ask if the select board has any other questions before.
No, that was my question.
Okay,
so.
go ahead.
So I think, we got what we got. And Donna, as you said, we now have the 2021/2022 version that is intact. At least for the part of the meeting that's still open meeting, the question would be, there's a special town meeting January 16th. And is there, I have thoughts, but is there stuff that we should be thinking about? Grace and Becky and I had a very short conversation that if we wanted to bring something before town meeting on January 16th, it's a very tight timeline in terms of noticing and hearings, but it's conceptually doable if one were to agree that there was something we wanted to do. So I guess I would ask you, based on this, do you think that's prudent, being that it seems like they're not happy with us? Or are there things that we should do that are like bite size? I don't think we should do anything that's big and complex, but do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I do. And I don't think it's fair to say that Margaret, Nicole, and Kelly aren't happy with us. I think that, we were the first major solar bylaw really that they tackled after Tracer Lane. And they're feeling their way in what that case said and how it affects zoning as well as all the rest of us are. So I certainly think that the unpaved road, moving it from waivers to mitigation standards, was one of the stronger pieces of the 2023 bylaw. And so that's certainly something that I would like to see back in. There's other, I think I would still like to consider putting the purpose clause back in.
Okay.
I wouldn't go for the districts or the zoning map again. Number one, because I think in order to do the zoning map, we'd really have to create a new zoning map. We'd have to create the districts. We'd have to have a separate article on the zoning map that would require a 2/3 vote. And I think that they were pretty clear that they didn't like that concept of districts and then only one project per district.
Right.
So I'm not sure that I would put that back in.
Okay. The only one that is in my email to you, but for the benefit of everybody, the only other thing that I am curious about, which I'm not a lawyer, but I've been swimming in this stuff for a while now. I think they got the energy storage completely wrong. And as I've said, I think it's built on flawed understanding of the solar exemption. But the thing that we did is we changed the use table of energy storage systems in the same warrant article as and replacing the solar bylaw. And I wonder if we had one warrant article separate from anything about solar that only addressed energy storage as primary use, changed the use table, and had a paragraph that made explicit that primary use has nothing to do with the source of generation. And to put that back in, because I think the way they interpreted it is they're connecting it to solar as an accessory use, even though we're saying it's not. In fact, I looked at this.
But that's the determination they've made. They've made the determination that energy storage, independent or accessory, falls under the solar protection. That's exactly what the letter says specifically.
Yeah, except their footnote's wrong.
Huh?
Their footnote
I think
contradicts
they're
them.
wrong. I
Yeah.
think they're dead wrong about that, but I really think the way to change that is legislation.
Okay.
When marijuana was first legalized, as you all may remember, and there was the whole issue about whether it was agricultural or not, and therefore did it fall under the agricultural exemption in Section 3. And they very specifically changed the legislation to say it did not. And I think that working with legislators and really discussing the problem with independent energy storage systems, particularly in small towns, the inability to handle any kind of catastrophic issue with those, I think is a better argument to make to legislatures to make that exemption rather than expecting the AG to do it when they've already laid down the rule and the courts have at least suggested that independent energy storage systems are solar.
Okay,
We're not going to convince them otherwise. So no, I don't think we go there. I don't think we'll succeed going there. We can try. And if they just delete that, don't approve that part of the amendment, but approve a separate article with other amendments, then, we can try. But I think the letter is really clear, Michael,
okay.
on how they've
Okay.
ruled on that.
So, I had just had a question. So has the planning board discussed whether or not, and maybe you need to talk to Donna, or we need to talk to Donna some more about this, about whether or not it's realistic to think anything would be ready for January 16th. Should it be done, as one package and we wait till either another special town meeting or wait till annual town meeting? What's the, is there any risk at this point to waiting?
Well, yeah,
beyond that?
I mean, I think that's the real issue is that, is there really a need to get this done on January 16th? Or is annual town meeting soon enough? And is the risk of trying to do this rapidly outside of the unpaved roads one that I think is already written, and if it went in separately, it wouldn't have to be written or anything else. You just need to have a public hearing and slap it in a warrant article. Sorry to be, but I think outside of that, trying to rewrite sections, trying to reconsider that kind of thing, I'm not sure that rushing to do that for January 16th is that imperative. That this 2021 bylaw is solid. It gives almost all the protections the 2023 did. The 2023 was just written to try and address Tracer Lane and to do an even better job on the 2021 bylaw. But, the 2021 bylaw with the protections of slope and size and biodiverse land and all of those things is still intact. So I'm not sure what is so critical that it would need to be rushed that, but I think that's a discussion for the planning board to have and to go through both with more of a fine-tooth comb and say, yeah, we think this protection's important enough, or this one's important enough that we need to get it through. We think that this one isn't, and so we don't need to get it through as rapidly. So, but I think that once you have that discussion, then you can make a determination of which ones you think might be imperative enough to do by the 16th, or whether, waiting until town meeting and just revamping it is where you want to go.
And we haven't had a full planning board meeting, but Rita, you have more questions? I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, when did the planning board meet again?
We're supposed to meet our regular time, which is the second Monday in December, but I'm wondering if anyone from the planning board just wanted to chime in. So I'm not the only voice. Not that we have a full conversation, but we literally haven't talked since this came out last week. So.
Well, they're thinking Becky had something she wanted to pop into.
Donna, Grace had a couple questions. She was wondering if she could add a note to the minutes of the special town meeting of January 23, just to say that there was a response from the AG's office? Or would that be?
No, you can't. You're not going to amend the town meeting minutes. You'll amend the zoning bylaw, where it says approved, when the AG approved, you'll just put January 19, 2023 zoning amendment disapproved by the Attorney General.
Okay, so you just put zoning amendment disapproved. Okay.
Deacon,
And
you
the
wanted
other-
to say, I'm sorry.
All right, go ahead.
No, you go.
Sure, I think it's an awful stretch to get it done for January 16. I mean, I think we'd probably do a better job if we took more time.
And Jeff, I saw you unmute.
That is true. Thank you. I just don't understand how the nine districts were allowed in the previous I'm losing my mind here. In the previous bylaw, and then now that they're not approved now, I don't understand why the map was approved before and it isn't approved now.
Well, the map wasn't approved this time for, I think, two reasons, clearly. One was that we didn't put it through the process like we should have, through the amendment process. We didn't have it at the planning board hearing. We didn't put it in the notice. And when we deleted the whole 810, section 810 in the warrant article, we deleted the reference in the warrant article to the district zoning bylaw map. So it should have been put back through the process, just like the amendment was. So that's one. Number two, I think they looked at the districts this time through Tracer Lane.
Okay. Thank you. I just didn't understand.
Melissa, would you mind if I just asked Jeff Lacy if he had any thoughts, since he was so critical to this, even though he's no longer a resident of the magnificent town of Shutesbury?
Rita or Eric, do you have a-
Brief,
okay.
Yeah.
Briefly. You still
Um,
have another thing here. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, I had the same question as Jeff Weston about the map. It sailed through in Shutesbury and in Pelham, similar types of maps, and there was no mention of the uniformity clause or any other problems with it before. And it just seems to me that that Tracer Lane is, they're kind of making a meal out of what really should be a snack on that case. It doesn't seem to add up to me, but and I think overall, I think some of these arguments that we make are gonna be easier made, and we'll get a lot farther with them in court than we will with the Attorney General, who seems to have policy objectives in mind in what they're doing now.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion before we go, excuse me, into our next section, which is an executive session? Excuse me.
I think I would just summarize, just to say it out loud, just to understand that it seems like from comments from the planning board, the select board, and Donna, that for purposes of the special town meeting on January 16th, we'll not try to put something forward, but that will pick up the pieces both in conversations with Donna and with the planning board to figure out what we would want to take from the rejected 2023 version and move forward to an annual town meeting that was important to us and seemingly passable by the AG. Is that an accurate reflection of what we discussed?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. All right. So do I hear a motion to go into executive session for reason number 3, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the government's litigating position, litigating specific to the complaint received from Coles regarding Shutesbury solar bylaw with town council and planning board, and not to return to open session.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have to have a roll call vote. So all those in favor?
Farrell, I.
Stalker,
Makepeace O'Neill, aye. Everyone who's not part of the planning board, town council, or select board will need to leave the meeting so that we can go into executive session.
So does the planning board need to vote to go into executive
Yeah,
session?
yeah, I was gonna say, we
also
should do
have
that
to go.
too. So, I'm just gonna read from the agenda. So does someone want to move to go into executive session for the planning board for reason number 3, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the government's litigating position, litigation specific to the complaint received from polls regarding the Shutesbury solar bylaw with town council and planning.
So moved.
Great, a second?
Second.
Okay, so roll call, Ashley,
Aye.
Deacon,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
and I am an aye, so we approved that, and I guess we can go into executive session.
Okay, so we'll need everybody else to
So I
leave.
have Amanda, Alex, it somehow
I
got
did.
back into the
Mhm.
waiting room.
That was me, Becky.
Okay, can I remove this?
Just leave her there, because she can't hear me. I'm waiting for people to leave. We all,
We've got Mark Robley,
Mary David,
Mary David,
Karen, oh no, she's.
Carrie's in the meeting.
Sharon Weisenbaum,
Sharon needs to leave,
Mark Seletsky.
Rinky,
Who is Rinky? Do you know who Rinky is?
I think he lives by the lake.
Okay.
so I have you, Becky, me, Weston, Pycroft, Geneva. All right, so now we also have to tell.
Michael, you don't have a quorum anymore.
Do we
Yes,
just-
you do.
Yeah, we do, there's 4 of us.
Yeah, you
Oh,
do.
no, hey,
Sorry, I didn't
no,
see-
yeah, Deacon just as text.
Okay, sorry.
All right, so everybody has to say whether they are alone in the room and no one else can hear them. So if you guys can confirm, Michael, can you confirm you're by yourself and no one can
I
hear
can
you?
confirm.
Jeff Weston,
I am alone. Thank you.
Donna,
Yes, I'm alone.
Ashley,
I'm alone.
Geneva,
Yes.
Carrie,
Yes.
Deacon,
Yes.
and we're all alone together.
That's a better way to be.
Who's the
Pretty please.
Shutesbury host?
That's Becky's computer.
Oh, okay.
Donna, I wanted